Uh, the Texans and the Vikings. This is Fast Talking Eddie, Mr. Pete, bringing you Pirate Radio broadcast football, Madden 26. Now the Texans. Henry Tutu, Blake Fisher, and Jake Andrews get the accommodations that they deserve. So let's get on with the game. Texans and the Vikings.
Standards, but then again, it is still summer. Either way, the AC is working just fine at U.S. Bank Stadium in the Twin Cities. Today, it's the preseason opener for these two teams, and it should be a good one, as it'll be the Houston Texans taking on the Minnesota Vikings. The Viking offense making their way out. And leading them out there, we get a look at their 6'3" quarterback.
Back on the field after a knee injury robbed him of his rookie season, but he showed a ton of promise in the limited sample size we saw of him during the preseason. Go back to the University of Michigan. You saw an accurate passer who ran the offense extremely well, but don't be fooled by that. He was never afraid to attack defenses with his arm, and he'll try to do the same here in the NFL.
Let's start the drive. Gets offense all the way up to midfield. That's a start they can live with. 15 yards on their first play from scrimmage. Well, there you go. This offense off to a strong start this afternoon.
Yeah, with a big run and a first down. That's putting what you practice into play. That's excellent execution to get things started. Teammates time to fight to the ball and limit that gain.
More the man in motion. Little play action. Here's the pressure on the Texans. And the lead there.
technique. In this case, none of it worked.
How to approach this. 3rd down and 16 yards to go.
Here we go.
From the shotgun, McCarthy. That's going to be incomplete. And his first throw nearly went the other way. Instead, it's 4th down.
And that might have been a situation where even though you don't hit on the deep throw, you at least put in the defender's minds early in the game that we're going to press the ball deep against your secondary. And that can have a ripple effect on how they function throughout.
So on 4th down, Ryan Wright on to punt for Minnesota. So out come the Texans for their opening drive. And they will be led out by their 6'3" quarterback.
And there's no doubt about the talent that we see from C.J. Stroud. We've watched it develop in his first 2 years in the league. But the best way quarterbacks are graded is winning. He's out there trying to win his 3rd division championship in as many years.
Throwing now is Stroud. Touchdown, incomplete. Good coverage there. Forced the ball through on 2nd down.
This defense, they made a good motion to deny that completion, and it came through with a nice hit and knocked it incomplete.
Here's 2nd and 10. Stroud. The RPO will keep it himself. This is taken in. It's complete. And he'll be taken down by Navy for the work across midfield. It's a gain of 35.
And what great recognition between a receiver and his quarterback, because he's going to recognize the trouble, and then he has 2 options. Come up the route and come back to help, or head straight down the field, and he chooses the latter, and it turns into a huge play.
From Viking territory now, they'll come up 1st and 10 at the 48-yard line. They're going to play action here with Stroud. They'll let this go deep for Collins. It's knocked out. Team Jackson. Picked up by Byron Murphy. And the Vikings will take over here at their own 12-yard line.
And Brandon, this is a real nice job defensively, getting inside a quarterback's head and figuring out, okay, where's he going with the football? Because you can make an educated guess defensively, not all the time, but sometimes. And when you're right, you got a decent chance of coming away with the football.
And the Vikings taking the field here for their 2nd drive of the game. Defense got the better of them last series, forcing a punt. See if they make a few changes in the game plan here and try to get points out of this drive. 1st and 10. So that flag obviously takes away the good yardage that they had on the play.
And talk about a momentum shift, because we can visibly see this celebration shifting from one side of the field to the other as soon as everyone saw the flag.
And inside, get
But a teammate comes along and scoops it up. It's like baseball.
first down now. Here's second down.
As usual, the hallmark of a good run defense. Linebackers making plays near the line of scrimmage. Absolutely nowhere to run there.
Facing the prospect of a punt from their own end zone, they need some cushion. Let's see what they can do on third down. To the air with McCarthy. There's caught. Storm of a 3rd and 17 to pick up the first.
And that's a much-needed completion right there on third down. Really a sigh of relief, isn't it? They're backed up deep. You know they don't want to give the ball back to the other guys in great field position. They needed that throw, that completion, that first down.
Now first down carry by Jones. And takes his half for second down coming up.
That's a really nice tough run inside, and they gain 5 yards on it. That's big breakup. Most offenses don't expect to get 5 yards on a play call like that. So when they do, they go back to their huddle with a peg in their steps. They're starting to think that they're starting to dominate the line of scrimmage.
Addison will go in motion left. Just a gain of a couple there. And then we got a third down and 3. Brings up 3rd and 3. Coming up here looking for 3 yards to pick up the first. McCarthy is set to throw. It's taken in. It's been tied up. It's across midfield. It's outside the 55. First connection there of the afternoon for those two, and it's good for a first down.
We often hear the phrase sure-handed tight ends, and he certainly fits into that category. Plus, he's got a quarterback who knows to look his way when they need a big pickup, and on this play, he finds it for the first down.
Jefferson going to go in motion right. Now a fake on the jet sweep and give to Jones. And 2 yards on the pickup there. It'll be 2nd and 8.
I do know from experience, when you slow down someone's running game, you're not going to dictating that defense. And guess what? Now you get ready to tee off on their quarterback because they have to throw it all the time. But you still have to be alert for the draws and other plays of that nature to make sure you don't get hurt.
Setting up the screen here, Aaron Jones. He's flat the screen play down the side of the football.
Boy, now very well read defensively, and this is all about diagnosis as a safety and being decisive because he saw it setting up in front of him, able to knife through there and make the play.
This will be play number 9 in the drive here as they need 4 yards on third down. Throwing is McCarthy. He's got man complete. And he's going to be taken down with another first down as the stop's made at the Texans' 24-yard line. action right. Jones. Struggling into the line of scrimmage. He took a tackle back at the 40. Now we have loss of a yard, and it leads to a third down.
That's tough right there. He ran right to the teeth of the blitz as the linebacker was freed up in order to stuff that one for a loss. I think quarterbacks got to see that. Got to find a way to audible to something a little more advantageous.
A big play forthcoming. Here's third and goal. Touchdown grab. And the Vikings use the early turnover to get on the board first here in this one. That's just how they do it. CD, his first read was there, got it to him quickly, and into the end zone.
Absolutely excellent execution by all involved. And the coordinator, got to give him credit, found the perfect play call. Quarterback let it fly as soon as the target came free, and his guy hit a nice catch. Just how you draw it up in practice and then execute it in the game.
Texans are an extra point away from evening this one up. A nice connection there, finding his target, and that'll put 6 up on the board.
Just like they drew it up in their playbook and reiterated it on the sidelines, right? Perfect route, a good throw, and the defense, they have no answer for that right there.
For the extra point. It's up and going. So these teams match touchdowns here in the first quarter. Tied 7-7. The drive there only spanning 3 plays. And it was Nico Collins who finished it off with a touchdown reception. So all even at 7 now as they kick it away.
The Vikings take over
The Vikings offense now heading up to take over. A long drive last time out for this offense, Charles. If you remember, they started basically in the shadows of their own end zone, marched it down the field, and a lot of that was through the passing game.
As a former defensive back, I've had almost a physical reaction watching what's happening right now, but let's give credit where it's due because they've done an excellent job moving the ball through the air. Secondary getting picked apart pass by pass. Obviously, they need to make some adjustments there.
Yeah, because offensively, we're going to have to shut down through that football. 23 yards on the tackle line.
It's a gain of 23 yards. And the Vikings first down.
Well, that turned out better than most of the passes that could have thrown on that snap. The coverage downfield was excellent, but the containment close to home left them a backdoor escape, and they paid dearly for not locking up.
This is 2nd and 8. Here's McCarthy. Defense complete to give him 6 yards here as he stopped near the 35 at the 34.
6 makes it 3rd and
2. The Texans here on 3rd down, putting an extra defender in the secondary. McCarthy operating from the gun. It's complete. He's out of bounds. Almost gets to the 10. Gave him 22 there on the 3rd down conversion.
I think when they look at their offense, they think to themselves, weapons everywhere, and they want to move the ball around. They want to spread it to different people. But you absolutely know they want to get this man involved as well, and that's what they just did on that play.
First down, they drop to throw. He's going to step on the run. And slides and covers up with the ears. He's going to be able to pick up decent yardage. Nice work to get 7 out of that, and it's 2nd down.
This early in the game, it's all about making steady progress downfield, hoping to lead to early points. And you can do it with your actual play calls, or sometimes something a little more improvised, as we just saw there.
2nd and 3 with the ball sitting on the 5. In motion right is Addison. Working out again is McCarthy. It's caught in the end zone for the Vikings. Touchdown by Justin Jefferson. A great play there. Ready for the regular season with his 2nd touchdown of the game. And the Vikings have taken the lead. Still first quarter, 2 receiving touchdowns for him. How are they going to slow him down?
I think they're thinking about altering their game plan, whatever they came in with. Now maybe you switch a better cover guy to him. You make sure you have more people in his general area, wherever he lines up, to at least try and discourage them from throwing the ball to him.
Now they're trying to play extra point.
For the extra point.
It's up and good. It's 14-7 now here in the first quarter. So they find there took 6 plays. It was all counted on Justin Jefferson's touchdown reception. The kickoff unit is out on the field, and they will send this one away. Solid return, pretty good field position. They start at the 32. Houston set to take over. This drive here beginning probably with a pair of motivated groups. Remember, the offense scored a touchdown. And their last time out, looking to repeat that in Charles's defense. They were very frustrated after giving up 6 the last time on the field.
And frankly, it's just a battle of wills in a lot of ways because you know they're both motivated, they both game plan for this drive, and they both have specific outcomes in mind. To me, it just comes down to who can execute that and which side can step up and do so much work over the other.
And he went backwards. He'll be down at the 50. The completion, but they go in the wrong direction. Loss of yards, and now they're dealing with a second and long.
30-yard line.
Here's Stroud. Now a topless and run. His drives continue. There's another intercepted. And they have possession, and they have it at the 38-yard line. And now the first quarter, the Eagles have about 2 interceptions to name.
Well, the good ones, they find a way to compartmentalize, right? Put these behind them, have that short memory, but understand why they threw the 2 interceptions. They go on and usually play a pretty decent game. Other quarterbacks, they have a hard time getting past it and often put the ball up for grabs the rest of the ball game.
So here's a 1st and 10 at the 38.
Let's go.
Wide right, Jones. Inside down inside the 40. 50 yards rushing forward at this point. They make a real first-quarter statement in one game, no doubt.
For those who remember old school football, running in, establishing things, seeing bats find holes, get through them, they gotta like what they're seeing from this unit so far. Right now, they've decided to, as you've said, establish the run game, and they've been successful doing it.
Here's Jones again on second down. Now they take the back down to the 25. 40 yards, they'll pick up 1st down.
And the Vikings.
When they came into this game saying it was important that they set the tone and show that they can run the football, I believe that they've done that here in the first quarter. Whenever we talk about the best strong safeties, one word constantly comes up, and that's instincts. Being able to diagnose run or pass and make the appropriate moves.
He crashed down hard there. He was ready for that running play. Play action, McCarthy. Now run here off the RPO, and they'll keep it. He keeps it himself for a run. 1st down.
It's a big 11. And the Vikings on 1st down. 1st and 10 at the 14-yard line.
Through one quarter, 14-7 our score. Second quarter now for Minnesota. It's the Vikings in possession of the football.
Let's take a look at the situation. Now, Davis Mills for the Texans will be going in there. And Sam Howell for the Vikings.
As they've got it with a 1st and 10. This is Jordan Mason. He'll find his way down. straight carries to start this drive, and like you said, the way it's working, they may just stick with it. 2nd and 9. And now the first throw for the backup quarterback. So 5-yard carry, 5 on the play. And now it's 3rd and 3.
Such a tough position to defend there for the line. Even with your man at second defender, but the big man shrugged off the extra body and made the play call a success.
This offense so far on 3rd down, they have been superb. 5 for 6 to this point. Here it's 3rd and 3. That's sacked by Daniel to make a long trip.
And that was a passer's nightmare. The front door totally shut down by the defense. They kept going backwards, hoping to find another avenue of escape. It didn't exist.
Now the Vikings will send out the special teams crew here for a field goal try. From the left hash, this from 34. And his kick here is good.
Expanding on it, getting plays on both sides of the ball. Their winning recipe if they can keep this up.
And a nice return sets him up pretty good. They're right at the 30-yard line. Football going back over now to the Houston Texans. So now, Charles, this drive. Houston going to come away here with the victory, and it's going to be their defense that gets the ink in the headlines tomorrow, and for good reason. They forced 5 turnovers in this game.
And while we were watching this game unfold, I kept thinking about when we did our training camp tour, and something that you noticed along the way. Just about every camp we visited, when the defense got together, everyone was doing ball drills. Defensive linemen, linebackers, secondary, because they understood how vital it was to take the football away. And they wanted every opportunity. When the ball was knocked free, they want all those guys to be familiar with touching the ball so they could pick up the fumble or get the interception. And we saw it pay off in this one here.
Yeah, 5 times. They'll remember this one. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Alongside Charles Davis, we thank our entire crew. I'm Brandon Gaudin. This is the NFL on EA Sports.
Stingley, CJ Stroud, Ingram, and Jake get the upgrades. And for the Vikings, Thomas gets the upgrade.